honestly forgot Just Pearly Things even existed.
So do you agree with that premise that slavery was embellished?
I think that there are parts that are under-embellished and there are parts that are over-embellished. I think it just depends what we're talking about.
That's so interesting. I've got to know what was over-embellished about slavery.
I'd really just rather not.
But for some reason, she popped back up for a live debate and got absolutely destroyed by Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks.
Men are 9 times more likely to commit suicide after a divorce.
Compared to women, what's the number for women?
It's lower.
Really? What is it? Comparative analysis is real difficult for you, isn't it? Okay. Do you think the advice that you give to men is the type of advice that will fulfill their lives? Because I'll tell you one thing, the best part of my life is my husband.
How tall is he?
Oh, he's 6'1", about your height.
It got so bad at one point she just started glitching out. You could see her brain start to malfunction in real time.
Are you just making things up?
No.
Pearl, what are you doing? Like, seriously. Next question.
No joke, she just froze on stage like an actual robot rebooting.
Pearl isn't saying anything.
Which is hilarious, but also very on brand. Pearl built her entire career off stealing Kevin Samuels' talking points, and later regurgitating idiotic red pill rhetoric from people like Fresh and Fit. But the only reason she gained notoriety is from the shock factor of a white woman saying the same things that these men would say, and oftentimes going a lot further.
I recently decided that women shouldn't vote.
You decided women shouldn't vote?
Yeah, that's a new opinion.
Why's that?
Okay. I'll take one for the team. Yeah.
Okay. Why shouldn't women vote?
Because we're chemically different every single day.
Right.
But whenever she didn't copy whatever someone else was saying, word for word, bar for bar, you would easily see how clueless and inarticulate she actually is.
Okay, we make 70.
Well, hold on. Does that mean you shouldn't be on YouTube then? Because you're chemically different. Your opinions could be bullshit. Because
they could be, yeah.
And it's the same with every one of these right-wing weirdo grifters. Whenever they leave their racist, sexist, incel, right-wing echo chambers and have to interact with real people in the real world, they get completely exposed for being weird, awkward, and just uninformed on real-world things. But this one was actually hard to get through because of how uninformed, ill-prepared, and awkward Pearl came across. She's clearly not quick on her feet, which is the basis of a debate. So without her having those pre-made talking points, her confidence completely evaporated. Any intelligent points that she was expected to have disappeared. And what we saw on that stage is what Pearl and all these red pill right-wing grifters actually are, which is an awkward, unprepared, and really misinformed grifter.
How many women die every year during childbirth?
Not many.
This country has the highest maternal mortality rate of any developed country.
But I'm Jew, welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
In a May 2024 appearance on Tim Pool's Culture War podcast, my opponent, Pearl Davis, declared that women aren't really doing much. We're not having kids. We're not really contributing to the economy when you look at output. In fact, she uses this ridiculous assertion to argue that women should not have the right to vote.
Why then are 5 to 10% of women between the ages of 18 to 25 on OnlyFans or other prostitution websites? There are more online prostitutes in America than female Walmart employees.
Right out the gate, you can kind of see the difference in who knows what by how they're delivering their opening statements. I don't know if this whole debate is about feminism, but that's what they're talking about. At least that's what Anna's talking about in her opening statement, where she's reading, but she clearly knows the information. And you don't really get that same vibe from Pearl.
1 of 3 women will catch an STD at some point in their lifetime. 90% will catch HPV, which is incurable. Feminism has empowered women to abort 1/8 of the world population and 1/3 of Gen Z.
Pearl just has no charisma or stage presence or confidence at all when she's talking, which is crazy as she just had a whole platform built around her. But she actually got as big as she did by maxing out the shorts algorithm and blowing up her channel, which if you know YouTube, if you blow up all shorts, it's very hard to translate short subs and views to long form content, which is why her main channel content really wouldn't get views like that.
We're gonna go now to the opening interrogations. We have 10 minutes. Do we have that on the clock?
Can you cite some actual studies that look at the statistics and back up what you say in regard to the outcomes of marriage and divorce in America?
So my daughter did debate, and that's one of the first things they tell you to do is whenever you're debating somebody and they start shooting out facts, ask them to cite the specific sources that they're using. And for whatever reason, most people really get tripped up from that cite the sources question.
41% of 109 cases reported to police in a Midwestern city were admitted to be false by complainants.
In one Midwestern city? And which Midwestern city was that?
You know, you can go from your ivory tower and
I'm not in an ivory tower. I'm on this
debate
debate stage interrogating your assertions, and you've only provided.
This debate just started. Why does Pearl look like a deer in headlights? That's the first question, the first response they usually tell debaters to ask. Can you cite the sources? And then you respond from there.
Because if you look at the data, which I did, of course, you'll find that women are twice as likely to fall into poverty after divorce.
Right, because they can't
Alimony
stop
is paid
spending.
out in 10% of divorces. According to the Census Bureau, the average child support payment is $441 a month.
I wish Pearl would come with facts because I don't even agree with Anna is saying right now. $400 seems really low for child support, but I guess when you're talking about the whole country and cost of living in different places, I ended up Googling it just because I wanted to know myself. And yes, the average monthly child support payment in the US is around $441, with some sources citing averages closer to $721. That's closer to what I was thinking, like $500-600 I thought would be the average, not $441. But again, if we're talking about the whole country, different states, different costs of living, I guess that makes sense.
Right.
Because if you look at the data, which I did, of course, you'll find that women are twice as likely to fall into poverty after divorce.
Right, because they can't
Alimony
stop
is
spending.
paid out in 10% of divorces. According to the Census Bureau, the average child support payment is $441 a month, and only 60%
Right, but how
of
much are
those
they
payments
making?
get paid out.
How much?
Women do not get child custody 90% of the time, as you have asserted before. In fact, 95% of custody cases are mutually agreed upon outside of the courtroom. Women get full custody 40% of the time. Men do get full custody 20% of the time. And 40% of the time, it's shared custody, which I think is the ideal situation, assuming that neither spouse is abusive.
Pearl is flipping through those pages. Pearl seems so frustrated already. And this just started. She's flipping through those pages like she's trying to find something that she knows is not there. I did that when I had to do presentations in college or high school. Like I'm flipping through pages for something I know I didn't write down. Why did Pearl agree to do this? She is bad at debating.
Women get full custody 40% of the time. Men do get full custody 20% of the time. And 40% of the time, it's shared custody, which I think is the ideal situation, assuming that neither spouse is abusive.
Pearl is still flipping through papers. This is really weird because she should know some of the real stats, some of the real numbers, because she made her career off this content. This is all she talked about on her platform. So for her not to know some of this stuff reflexively, like muscle memory off the top of her head, it's really telling that she never knew this information to start with, and she was just regurgitating.
Pearl, excuse me, before you respond, if you could take your microphone out and hold.
She's still flipping through papers.
Men are 9 times more likely to commit suicide after a divorce.
Compared to women, what's the number for women?
It's lower.
Really? What is it? Comparative analysis is real difficult for you, isn't it?
Okay.
Go ahead, Pearl.
What's your next question?
You have asserted that men shouldn't get married, that instead they should shack
didn't say
up.
that.
You did say that with
did
Trent
not say
Horn.
that.
Do you think the advice
Right,
that you give to
right.
men is the type of advice that will fulfill their lives? Because I'll tell you one thing, the best part of my life is my husband. I love my husband. He's my rock. He's my foundation.
No,
And-
don't start
and-
flipping. She's starting to flip through papers again. If you're talking about stats about offing yourself after divorce, it's really simple. When you're going into a debate to have the male numbers and the female numbers. Pearl doesn't know any of this. She is completely unprepared.
How tall is he?
Oh, he's 6'1", about your height. None, I don't want kids.
He's 6'1", about your height. Shout out to my tall ladies. I love you stallions out there. Don't take offense to that.
Question.
I mean, you don't really have much to answer, so I don't know what else to ask you. Do you think you're helping men by discouraging them from entering fulfilling marriages?
What happens to men if they don't pay child support?
Again, I'm not a debate pro. I've only ever been to my daughter's debates, but you're never allowed to answer a debate question with the question. You literally have to present your narrative and your facts for that narrative in response. Pearl just has no real information, facts, or insight to give, so she's just answering questions with questions now. And it legit got worse for Pearl.
Are you just making things up?
No.
Pearl, what are you doing? Like, seriously. Next question.
She just froze like a statue in the middle of a debate. Just refused to respond, to answer questions, anything.
How many women die every year during childbirth?
Not many.
This country has the highest maternal mortality rate of any developed country.
By a large margin, and I think the biggest percentage of that mortality rate when it comes to births is black women, and how black women are treated, mistreated, or ignored when they go to hospitals.
So a lot of women do die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth, yes.
Bro, just said, fuck it, I'm just here. It says shouldn't have eaten that second edible. This definitely seems like the edible kicked in right when she hit stage and she just cooked.
Pearl isn't saying anything. What?
You got this, Pearl.
If she knew this is how she acted under pressure with this whole slavery was embellished situation, why would she ever go to a live debate where it would be much more pressure than this? Pearl just ain't that smart.
But I was quoting a Thomas Sowell book.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
Who's that?
Yeah. So Thomas Sowell's an author who talks about the history of slavery. So.
Thomas Sowell. Oh, so do you agree with that premise that slavery was embellished, or no?
Gosh.
Oh boy.
They're gonna be in trouble. This sounds similar to the slavery stuff too, because that's literally the founder of, or the guy who made Roots said, I wanted a myth for my people to live by. So they often, but that's what they do is they embellish. And I'm not trying to say it wasn't horrible. It was.
Right.
But they want to make it like more horrible so that they can control people.
I think that there are parts that are under embellished and there are parts that are over embellished. I think it just depends what we're talking about.
That's so interesting. I've got to know what was over embellished about slavery. Just like one example, I'm dying to know.
Yeah, I just rather, I mean, I was talking about a book that I read, and I think to understand the context, you'd have to read the book.
But you just said some parts were embellished, some parts were under embellished.
I just, again.
Are you retracting that?
I'd really just rather not.
But okay.
And then Pearl took to her live stream, clearly taking the L in the debate hard and admitting that she was thinking about putting hands on the lady Anna.
I thought about it. I'm like, you can talk like this to men, but I'm bigger than you. I could body you. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah.
Even here in her own live stream, when it's so easy to be entertaining and personable in your own space, she is still super dry, low energy, no personality, no charisma, can't string sentences together. It's a miracle that she ever built her platform up to what it became. But again, she did that through shorts, where it doesn't take much to get views.
I know, but I have this fear in me of the police. I never want to like get in trouble in that way. But you know, I'm getting older. And have you noticed the older you get, I'm like, do you know what? I could catch a charge.
Update, PearlyThings revealed on stream that she was considering physically assaulting Anna during their debate, but she held herself back due to fear of catching the charge. Anna is 5'3", while Pearl is 6 foot, I think 6'1". Leave the short girls alone and fight me, you Sasquatch looking bitch. This is embarrassing. Pearl had a debate with Anna, and despite days of prep, it is no way she prepped for days. Completely froze under even mild pressure. It's wild to be a professional political commentator without even being able to defend any of your views. That's because she's a grifter, just like all the other red pill talking heads. They don't believe any of the shit they're saying. They just say it because they know desperate guys are out there and it gets views. Pearl built her whole platform off Kevin Samuels talking points, and then that morphed into Fresh and Fit talking points. But anytime she wasn't on script, looking at a paper or reading something, she's just deer in headlights, doesn't know what she's talking about because she doesn't know what she's talking about. My favorite genre of video is watching right-wing grifters leave their echo chambers and completely embarrass themselves to a degree that's hard to make up. Anytime these people are talking to regular people in the real world with lived experience, they look crazy. Bro, I expected this to be bad, but holy shit, this is humiliating. No, it really, really was bad for Pearl. Every single time a right-winger does a debate with someone who knows like a single fact, it ends up like this. This is why Charlie Kirk debated college students. Big facts, again, anytime anybody knows anything or has real-world experience and can articulate their thoughts properly, the red pill right-wing talking points just don't hold up. And then Pearl basically posted her closing statement, which could not be interrupted, interjected, and it made it look like she actually did good in the debate when it was anything but that.
Feminists want control over their bodies. You win. You have 12 types of birth control, and you can actually Uber Eats a Plan B.
Even just reading that, no charisma, no stage presence, no confidence in what she's saying or the information that she's supposed to know, none of it. At the end of the day, Pearlythings' career with her red pill grift was always gonna die off because the novelty of a white woman saying the same thing that all these other men are saying eventually wouldn't be that interesting anymore, especially because she never brought any new thoughts or unique talking points to her podcasts or debates or any of her other content. It was all a regurgitation of what was already said by other more famous people. But to see her career fall apart to the extent that she's doing live debates and just glitching out is still crazy. But shout out to my channel members. Thank y'all so much for supporting, and thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Also, make sure you check out the next video, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes and life stuff, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.